Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 6, and I believe it is episode number 906 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada. Always 100% Canadian and always beaverific. Today, recording day is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, and it is, well, let's just put it this way. As you can maybe guess by what I word on my head, it is a humid hair day here at the Beaver Lodge, and the hair lost today. Humidity won. So it is raining, and it is raining very interestingly in that rather aggressively, actually. I was outside a little earlier today, and there was some wind that picked up, and that rain was hitting like sharp. It's like, like, calm down, man. It felt like I had to duck it in order to get back in. Yeah, some rain, much needed, but yeah, mixed in with the little gusts of wind that we have here. Um, I guess literally what people would call pissing rain, I guess, or something, that expression, if that's what it means when it's raining hard like that. But yeah, at least not. Yeah, it's not. I guess you couldn't say that, because I'm guessing that that condition would be like constant, and then it's not the case. But it is, when that wind comes up, it's like the rain's attacking you. It's like it's personal, man. Mother Nature's relieving some tension. Let's put it that way. Uh, let's see. Little fuzzy beaver. Was I fuzzy? Oh, I might have missed it. Hopefully everything's okay now. I'll go take a check there. So let's see. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Kids and cubs. Let's see. Oh, yes, I was a little fuzzy there for a while. Hopefully that's cleared up on the main page too. No, not yet. Okay. Let me go check with the audio there, the video. Oh, well, that may explain what the problem is. Boom. It was on the wrong setting. Thank you for bringing it to my attention there. Yes, get Uncover coming with the good news. Romania in the Eurovision semi-finals tomorrow. I was pretty sure that was going to be the case. Kit Uncover sent me a video of their entry. It's quite an interesting one, actually. So, but there's no denying that the vocal ability of the lead singer of the group that has the entry was pretty impressive. So I was pretty certain it would make it into the semifinals. So yeah, we get to woohoo. We get to cheer. We haven't had a chance to watch it again yesterday because everything going on, and I would like to apologize for not having been able to do a show. I really thought I would be able to, but just the way that everybody's schedules crossed. Normally this room is unoccupied, but I basically have a window between 11 and about 5:30 p.m. to do that. But that was the exact same time that our painter was here. And yesterday was a prep and a moving furniture and stuff day so that we can have the bigger rooms painted, and things were being sanded, and the shop vac was on, and moldings were being taken off, and there was banging on crowbars, and there was just not a minute. I even thought maybe trying to go in the backyard, and even that wasn't working because the neighbors next door were screaming at each other. So it was just not going to happen. So sorry, I really did try. But yeah, it wasn't going to happen at all. So here I am today, and hopefully we will have a good show. Um, there is, I swear, I do want to bring you the news about changes to regulations for projects approval because it really is a big deal. But oh my God, the drama, darlings, it just won't stop coming. I don't know if we thanked our sponsors, but just in case, a little aside, I'm a little squirrely right now. The Pepper Master, the Misfit Mysteries from COVID Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. And now that I'm saying it, I think I remember saying that. But hey, we'll thank them twice. Um, so yeah, just so much news, and particularly when you layer what's going on in Alberta with what happened in Scarborough Southwest, with Nate Erskine-Smith not winning the nomination to be the Liberal candidate in Scarborough Southwest, and certain allegations of irregularities having happened there. Clearly, there are irregularities happening in Alberta. And recently, we reported on irregularities in the province of Quebec with what was going on with Pablo Rodriguez. And there was even a development on that file last week coming through. And then if you add that on to things that we've noticed in the past, like, for example, the fact that the Conservative Party of Canada has had difficulty having a clean leadership race since Harper. There seems to be a lot of, I don't know if we've achieved a state of partisanship such that political parties do not seem to be able to manage an election of any kind, whether it be a writing nomination, whether it be a party leadership race, you know. Now, the one exceptional exception, for lack of a better word, as Nathan Cullen pointed out in Power and Politics, is the recent NDP leadership race, which apparently had none of that drama. No problems with IDs, no problems with lists, no problems with the vote. When the vote was counted, nobody was contesting things. It was, considering the state of these things in recent times, it was remarkable by being remarkably uneventful. That should be concerning to us. As you know, Kits and Cubs, one of the things that, one of the major principles, the key principles, core principles of in which we believe is that, right, nobody should be doing anything whatsoever to interfere with your right to cast a fully informed vote. Well, I guess before that, nobody should be interfering with your right to cast a vote. And before that, nobody should be fucking with our democracy. Pardon the language. Um, there's a sandbox and there are some basic boundaries that we are supposed to all agree to play within. And some people like to push the boundaries, okay. Some people like to test them, okay. And in life, we do push and test boundaries and see where they are. But then there's just going clear outside them, right? Um, we saw that with the in and out thing with the conservatives back in the day. Clearly outside the financial rules. They had to end up pleading guilty in court. And we've just seen a case where there was a legitimate irregularity in Terrebonne go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And we had a vote annulled. And we had to have a redo because there were irregularities and those irregularities were indeed real and they were indeed consequential. Now, when Mr. Erskine Smith was that video clip I showed you where he was saying that, his team was telling him that there were things, and he didn't want to confirm stuff yet. He wanted to get a full debrief and whatnot. And he had 72 hours uh, to file a request, and he did to have that looked at. Um, some of the things he is mentioning had a lot of people on the influencer and the knee jerk and the hot take and all that kind of stuff and the anti everything or opposed for the sake of opposing conservative minions online and everything saying so yeah see when there's an election and somebody starts complaining of irregularities it's always sore losery if it's conservatives doing it. No, it's not who's doing it. It's whether or not there is something. Again, Terrebonne showed us that there can be irregularities. Every vote should, and usually does come with a process to be able to contest or file a grievance if legitimate reason to file a grievance exists. A lot of them are relating it to Trump. Yeah, Trump's thing went to court over 50 times, I think, and he lost every single case. There was no legitimate claim. In Terrebonne, we just saw where there was. We do not know yet whether or not there is a legitimate claim, right? Which makes certain things interesting. I found it very interesting that the interim leader of the Liberal Party of Ontario, Mr. John Fraser, was able to say that he had confidence in the integrity of the vote without even knowing what the alleged issues were and allowing at least a prima facie on the surface look into it occur. If the things that Mr. Erskine Smith was told by his debriefing team did indeed happen, there is more than a justifiable reason to want to take a look at it. And in Alberta, well, I mean, the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner, Elections Alberta, and the RCMP already are looking into it. So something I am very, 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 very uncomfortable with what is going on. And, I think Jen Gerson might have referred to it, but it really does look like there's a coup going on. And I'm not saying this lightly. We have an instance that is not only dedicated to breaking up the country, but certain instances in it wanting Alberta to be pulled out of the country so it can become part of another country, a country that is currently hostile to us. Taking over a legitimately established political party, all the work that Jason Kenney did. They kicked him out of the party he helped to build. He didn't help himself along the way, but that's a whole other episode. And they are subverting the mission and the mandate, the original mission and mandate of that party for which it was established for some other ends. And they are ends that nobody ran on. It is a hostile corporate takeover of an organization. And laws are being changed, behavior is being ignored. People with brazen stated comments on the record about their intentions appear to be being assisted. They are being provided with aid and comfort. All for the purposes of creating some type of massive division in our country so that we break apart. Maybe coup's the wrong word. I don't know. But what I do know is that Canada is not an unreasonable country. If we look at, for example, in Spain with, Catalan and their separatist movement, there are actions that were taken there that the government just cracked down on and deemed illegal. We don't do that here. We treat that type of aspiration as a legitimate political opinion. And we have created a template for it in the province of Quebec. As Jordan Garson pointed out, you form your political party, you advocate for your position, you earn the votes of the people, you raise yourself to a position of power. You hold a referendum now within the context of what is stated in the Clarity Act. And if you win, then there's a whole other process that begins because it's not just automatic secession, right? It becomes a constitutional issue. So you got to get the votes of the provinces and the House and the Senate and royal assent. And then there's a whole issue of treaties. It's not an instant thing, but if you have a vote like that, and let's say the vote doesn't go the right way because, well, let's say this, everybody's saying 27% now, but let's say, well, once the siren goes off and somebody goes, and they're off, all the potential for foreign money and foreign interference really flows in. And foreign interference of the type, right, that assisted the convoy, of the type that we investigated during the foreign interference public inquiry by Justice Marie-Josée Hogg, not just the votes, somebody coming in from another place and casting votes, as Danielle Smith, when she talks about it in that very, very, very limited, constrained way, so that she can keep on saying, well, there is no foreign interference. We know the issue is much larger than just the casting of the votes. We have so, yeah, like I said, I don't know if coup is the right word, but these people in this movement is not following that established pattern, right? They're not doing it according to the template that we have created for this. The Globe and Mail recently had a news article, did a little editorial on this morning, and thank you, those of you who saw it and offered some compliments. I appreciate it. Um, but yesterday, when I was about to come on and do a show for you, I had stumbled across an article in the Globe and Mail with a quote from Alberta's chief electoral officer, Gordon McClure, that said, "I can confirm that David Parker is not cooperating with the investigation, and he has refused to sign a statutory declaration confirming that he will comply with my direction to cease and desist with respect to the list of electors." That list is not supposed to be being used. It's not supposed to be in their possession. They've been asked, this is a court order, to cease and desist, and he will not. Is that database still being used? Is it being distributed to even more people? We have someone who has a history of antagonism with Elections Alberta and noncompliance. I think there's a matter of about $112,000 in fines that have been outstanding for a while, and there's been no effort to repay. So we don't need there's a pattern of behavior here. On top of that, you know, there's some social media posts back from April, of course, that because everything needs to be framed in terms of good and evil, that Elections Alberta is some type of evil thing that engages in lawfare. It's not lawfare if you're actually breaking the law. It's accountability. It's consequences. And you have Danielle Smith still, who has not expressed any concern, empathy, care for the well-being, safety, and security of 2.9 million of our fellow citizens in a situation in which, yes, we pray it does not happen, but it is reasonable to foresee that it could happen, that someone could lose their life. And there's no care, there's no concern. There, the NDP had to be the first to put out information to Albertans on how to protect their privacy and data. The UCP didn't do it. The UCP also didn't call Jason Kenney to let him know he was in trouble. The UCP also didn't report it to authorities. Prior to all that, the UCP also made it very much more difficult for Elections Alberta to even investigate. As reported on the show earlier, Elections Alberta has confirmed on the record that any investigation that it had conducted within the last 5 years under the new laws post Danielle Smith would not have been able to be opened given the change in the threshold. And you just wonder what kind of political party that is supposed to swear an oath to defend the Constitution and all that kind of stuff. Uh, For what reason would a party like that want to make it harder to investigate a crime against democracy? I just don't understand that. There's just no rationale. Right there is where the needle skips on the record, and, and everything you say after just does not compute. I can't conceive of one reason that would be in the public interest for which a political party would make it harder to investigate when a crime has been committed against the democratic system or when there's been a violation of the rules or even a semblance of unethical behavior. The democracy is the thing we are supposed to protect and uphold. My personal mileage may be different than many others, but to me, that is among the highest of crimes that one could commit against one's entire society. To me, it's sociopathic, and I'm not going to say evil like Mr. Parker likes to use, but I'm going to use another four-letter word that uses the same four letters just in a different order, and that would be vile. So right now, Danielle Smith, alleged Federalist Danielle Smith, doing that whole MOU thing to allegedly show Albertans that Canada can work, is doing absolutely nothing. Let's just wait to see how the investigations play out. Well, right now we have someone who is known to be antagonistic to institutions delaying said investigation by not cooperating. Premier Smith, the question becomes is, do you just allow that to happen on your watch? Law and order, jail not bail conservatives? Do you just allow someone who took action that could put some of those 2.9 million Albertans and their dependents not of age to be on the electors list who live with them in danger up to and potentially mortal danger? So openly and brazenly not only flout the law, but flout a judicial order. And still claim you're a Federalist or Democratic. This is a very sticky situation for Danielle Smith now. Is the Justice Minister going to somehow order or compel compliance? Will the director, will the chief electoral officer do it? The chief electoral officer does have some powers. But right now, again, the very personal information of 2.9 million Albertans, 2.9 million of our fellow citizens that we love and we care about is just out there in the open for anything and anyone to do anything with. And we have a government that is not doing a damn thing to protect them. And one of the key players involved in making it such that all those people could be put in potential danger. is outright flouting a court order. How long does it take if this is an alleged crime and it is an ongoing crime? When do authorities intervene when there is no compliance and cooperation to stop the crime from happening? It's an attack against democracy itself. It's an attack against the entirety of society. It's an attack against the entirety of the population of that province. And seemingly no concern, certainly no urgency on the part of the government of the day. Some very, very serious questions need to be asked. And things are not getting better for the UCP in other ways as well, because there was a press availability the other day, and Danielle Smith was doing whatever song and dance thing she does, especially when the water starts to get a little hot. And just casually, she let it slip that there is potentially a third person who knew. I have the clip for you here. 2 minutes and 11 seconds all the way through. But see if you spot the moment where we learn that there may have been another person there. Now, we already know that Mr. Sandhu was participating by video. There is an allegation that Mr. Rob Smith, who the name Rob Smith happens to be the pertinent name of the person who's the president of the UCP. The UCP claims it wasn't that Rob Smith. There was another Rob Smith, but nothing else has been put out there that I know of to clear that up. So potentially he was there. And now it would seem yet another person. See if you can spot it.
In the governing party reported directly to the Premier's Chief of Staff. So I'm wondering if you can...
That's not the case, no.
Yeah, can you shed some light on the reporting structure with your caucus and the superiors of Aaron Deep Sandhu? To whom would he have reported the details of the April 16th Centurion project meeting?
At the helm of our caucus is our caucus executive director, who is Tricia Van Hiltsen, and so she would have to be able to tell you what the circumstances there were. My understanding in talking to her afterwards is that her staff routinely goes and does opposition research, going routinely to a number of different events, and that there was nothing that she felt was out of the ordinary to report up to the Premier's office staff.
So to be clear, it was her decision not to report it upwards to your office, to your Chief of Staff?
She would be the one principally responsible, but again, she said there was nothing that was presented that was out of the ordinary that would have required her to report up.
And does Mr. Sandhu
Lisa, I want to get one more question in here.
Or on issues of importance when he does his political research, does he ever report to Rob Anderson?
He never. No. There's Rob Anderson is my Chief of Staff, and we also have in my office Deputy Chief of Staff responsible for HR, which is our political staff in government, and that is Patrick. So the caucus staff is managed in a completely separate way, and the relationship over there is the Chief Whip is oversees caucus staff, and so ultimately he also sits at the cabinet table. So he has that direct connection. But my PO staff is different than the caucus staff.
Did Justin Wright
Thank you,
receive
Lisa.
details of
Can
that
we get
meeting?
to our last question? We have time for one
As I
more.
said, like Justin Wright didn't raise it because Tricia saw nothing unusual. No one was saying that this list was illegal. That was not on anybody's radar. So it was just a regular oversight of a regular opposition meeting, and there was nothing out of the ordinary.
Now, you will notice again in this clip, much like Doug Ford when he's caught, she has eyes wide open, right? Oh yeah. So did you spot it? That person sheeped about Trisha, her name. Hold on, let's see if I can get the last name. Sorry. Here, just take a look. Trisha Velthausen, UCP caucus director, claimed that there was nothing to report. How would she know that there was nothing to report if she had not seen the proceedings herself? Certainly, we know that if all, well, I'm not even sure whether or not there would be well, let's just put it this way. Given the fact that Mr. Sandhu, again, as Mr. Nenshi popped out, not some, green behind the ears, just fresh out of, university debate club person, but someone with some rather significant experience. Not him participating in something where Jason Kenney's personal information would be up on screen with people gleefully sharing it in a room of people who are not particularly inclined to like Mr. Kenney, and this being broadcast, again, as I mentioned, literally around the world for literally anyone to see in the world. That didn't ring an alarm bell. And if the UCP president was there, that didn't ring an alarm bell. And that if after that not ringing an alarm bell, said Trisha Velthausen just took Mr. Sandhu's word for it and said there was nothing to report, that would be taking a silly risk, putting your name behind something you had no knowledge of for sure yourself, given that there is video apparently of the meeting. I'm sure wouldn't have been that hard for her to get a copy of it and go check for herself. So if she said that, maybe she did. Maybe that is a possibility. Maybe she got to see the video afterwards. Maybe she wasn't there. Have to ponder that one a little more. But after seeing the video, if she did, whether it was earlier so as to report or after to be able to say with any degree of certainty, how can these three people see Jason Kenney's personal information, particularly if she saw it after it's been known in public that his information was out there and how terrible that is, and still say there was nothing to report at the time? Without acknowledging that, oops, yeah, I guess I missed that. That little mea culpa. Nope. Just a regular oversight of a regular opposition meeting where everything regular was happening as it regularly does. If that is the case, and how many of these things Mr. Sandhu goes to regularly, and how many of these things do they happen to gleefully share the personal information of people that the UCP is not particularly fond of? I mean, if this is a regular thing that happens regularly and there's nothing to report, wouldn't that be way more concerning? Just wondering out loud. said, people are in danger and nobody is letting them know, well, except for the NDP, what they can do to protect themselves. And that's only for the people that their concern is to protect their data and privacy. For people that are worried about other things, like protecting themselves, their life, their family. So, what do you advise in this case? What do you advise? And I just, like I said, given the sheer number of people affected and the potential severity of the consequences, the total lack of care and concern for Albertans is jaw-dropping. Absolutely jaw-dropping. Now, as far as we're concerned, there's absolutely no way to consider. There's absolutely no way that anybody can determine for sure if all of those signatures on those petitions are valid. When they do a verification, they take samples, right? They don't call absolutely every person. Whatever result, if it goes ahead, is whether or not it should have gone ahead, whether or not it had met the threshold, will always be in doubt. Now we know Danielle is going to bend over backwards to find a way to let it go through, no matter what. The only real hope people have is if Indigenous litigants who have brought the case to court, if they're successful, and that this gets held up in legal wrangling so long that it can't be ready for October 19th. But then again, we have these groups to whom Danielle Smith appears to be beholden and who appear to have taken over the party, essentially saying in the background that regardless of what the judges say, you're holding that referendum, right? And I'm still waiting for a journalist to ask her the question. These groups are on record as stating that you should defy anything legal that tells you that either this referendum should not be held or this question is invalid or anything of the sort. You should just do it anyway. With undertones to it suggesting that your time as premier may not last long after, will not extend to a period that would be of notable length subsequent to you not acquiescing to their demands. Which, again, smells a lot like coercion, political extortion of some kind. Maybe, I don't know. Not sure exactly the legal term, but it's not. It's not democratic, and it's definitely not from the free will of the majority of the population. It seems to be a very, 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 very small group leading someone with considerable power, somebody who has been entrusted with the well-being of it, the citizens of an entire province, and who has a responsibility to the nation, leading that person by the nose. When do people intervene meaningfully? Now, of course, maybe that's what this is all about, right? Getting the evil Elections Alberta to take some type of action, getting that evil RCMP, the traitors among the UCP, who maybe had a doubt. All these people who, the person at the heart of this, will not rest until they are brought to whatever their definition of justice is. Which is like ironic considering that they're actually flouting a judicial order. This is not normal. This is not normal. And even we're at the point now, given the manner in which these people speak, should something happen to make it such that a referendum cannot be held, or even if it is held and they lose, what stops them from considering the referendum not being held as yet another one of those unconstitutional, undemocratic, under the thumb of those evildoers who must be destroyed thing, just to keep them down and to suppress freedom? Or, all right, just it was rigged. Right? I mean, all of this is geared to get us to lose faith in our institutions, right? And nobody can provide a reason. Danielle Smith tried, right? Got to let the air out. Got to give them a little chance. Yeah, that's what David Cameron did with Brexit. Look how that ended up. She has been bending over backwards to make all of this possible. She's looking the other way. Oh, we'll just wait for the results of an investigation. And then, maybe, after our referendum and all that takes place, we'll act. Just, I'm uncomfortable. I'm extremely uncomfortable. I don't like this. Because it would appear anything that we would do to try to stand up for, defend our democracy, that can be taken and then used against us, right? That was one of the reasons why Justin Trudeau never called in the cops to crack down hard on the convoy, because they wanted those images. They needed They needed the government to overreact so that they could create the mythology. They could have the images that go with the mythology that match the tyrannical government. Right? All they've got is frozen bank accounts, which, doesn't make for very compelling YouTubing. That's why they tried to make such a big deal of that horse. Right? So, yeah, that's the whole thing, right? Because as soon as he is arrested and charged, for him, that's a marketing tool. But at some point, somebody has to make a decision to step in. Because if you were seeing somebody punch someone on the street, and you called for help, you would expect the authorities to break it up. And this is a crime that's been, if it is a crime, we suspect it is, that's been going on for well over a month. And it's still going on. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to stop it. Anyway, then we get to the case in Ontario, where Nathaniel Erskine Smith, as we showed you, there was a video made with the Prime Minister on the Friday before the vote. Prime Minister seemingly giving him an endorsement. And the results came in. And it would appear, at least according to the results, that Mr. Erskine Smith lost the nomination by 19 votes. Now, that wasn't the only thing, because, as we mentioned, he seemed to, or his team, the teams of scrutineers that were there, seemed to be indicating that there may have been something untoward with how the vote took place. He didn't want to say too much. He wanted to get the full debrief. And then the full debrief he did indeed get. And it seems that he has made a decision to pursue this. I believe I saw it was from Laura Stone, if I am not mistaken here. Let's see. Oh, there is a more recent news too. But let's go to the first one here. It says here, Nate Erskine Smith has filed a notice of appeal to the Ontario Liberal Party to challenge the results of the Scarborough Southwest nomination, alleging, quote, serious irregularities, according to a copy viewed by the Globe and Mail. The appeal alleges there were 34 more ballots in boxes than recorded votes. Voter ID issues, an unusually high number of people who claim to have just lost their driver's license or just moved to the area, and people being, quote, explicitly directed on how to vote in the voting area. Okay, the 34 more ballots in the boxes than recorded is super odd on its own. The rest of the stuff is weird. The appeal also states that a new nomination should be held or candidate appointed. Quote, to avoid any perception of self-interest, Mr. Erskine Smith will remove himself from any future process or consideration in Scarborough Southwest if it means the party will investigate and take action. Now that is an extremely smooth and very strategic move from Mr. Erskine Smith, because the narrative coming out of that loss was, well, hey, or one of the narratives is, hey, if Mr. Erskine Smith couldn't win just a nomination to be a candidate, well, How can he win the party leadership? And how can he certainly defeat Doug Ford in an election? But now he's saying, no. This is not just sore loser stuff, sore loser talk. There actually were irregularities. Again, we had a public inquiry on foreign interference that was run by Justice Marie-Josée Hogg. And there were some recommendations in there with regard to voting in party nominations, that maybe it should be reserved for Canadian citizens and shouldn't be open to broader populations. We did all that work, and it would appear that the Ontario Liberal Party of Ontario, for this particular nomination, decided not to run the nomination, taking into account the recommendations of that public inquiry, which immediately begs the question, why? What would be the motive, after all of us going through all of that and knowing we're at risk, to not incorporate those recommendations? What would be the motive? And again, who would benefit? Those two questions again. To his credit, so this here puts it in a situation where Mr. Erskine-Smith is saying, hey, this is so not sore loser. That I think this result can't stand in this riding. I think, personally, that we should run this again. We should investigate it, but I have a feeling that based on this, we're going to find some information that means that this needs to be run again. And so that you don't say it's sore loser, or that I'm trying to gain an advantage for myself, I will withdraw myself from consideration if you ask me to. You say, you know what, I'll hold another run, another vote, but you, Nate, you can't run here in this one. Fine. I'm good with that. But investigate this. So now it makes the issue about the process and not about the candidate. And that's where I find that interim leader, John Fraser, might have been a little premature in stating that he had confidence in the results without even taking a moment to just take a look-see. Sometimes I understand that in politics, you want to temper down doubt. But let's just put it this way. When money goes missing, and you do not know where the money is, you do not come to the microphone and say, no, the money's not missing. We know where the money is, because the obvious follow-up question is, well, then where's the money? Show me the money. And then you're, if you don't know for sure, don't say it with certainty. So I want you to hear, in case you didn't see it, it's on Power and Politics. Nate Erskine-Smith didn't wait all that long. He had 72 hours to file. This happened on Saturday, and Monday, 5 o'clock on the political shows, there he was, stating what he learned in the debrief and why it is that he filed that request. So, again, in every time that there's an election, there needs to be some type of process to be able to contest, right? If there is reason to contest. Here it seems, based on what we're going to hear, that there is legitimate reason. And we have that, again, that big glaring question. Why would you have run this race not in accordance with the recommendations on the public inquiry on foreign interference? Just like we would ask Danielle Smith, why would you make it harder for Elections Alberta to investigate potential wrongdoing. All right, let's take a look at this. Hopefully, yes, this is the right one. There we go. Haha, I did it right. Yay me.
For 3 straight elections, the Ontario Liberals are searching for their comeback story. Liberal MP Nathaniel Smith wants to write it as the next leader. And although it would mean leaving his seat in Parliament, he still received encouragement from Prime Minister Mark Carney. But this weekend, those plans collapsed when Erskine Smith lost a Liberal nomination race in Scarborough Southwest by just 19 votes to Ahansal Hafiz, a pizza store franchisee. Well, today, Erskine Smith has filed an appeal of those results, alleging serious irregularities. And Nathaniel Erskine Smith joins me now. Mr. Erskine Smith, it's good to see you. Thank you for taking the time, sir.
Good to see you too.
Interim Ontario Liberal Party leader John Fraser, he stands by the results. He says it was a good process. Why are you filing this appeal?
I took the time to debrief with a range of scrutineers, and people should know these are not overly partisan folks here. You've got lawyers who are coming at this from Bay Street experience and reviewing all the evidence and saw what happened on that day. And our chief scrutineer has 25 years of political experience. His name's Andreas Katsouris. He's got experience all around the world in elections, training and participating in election observer missions from Yemen to Ukraine. And they all came to me and said, here are a range of irregularities that you need to take seriously. And look, it would be easier to say we accept the results and we move on and life is what it is and not keep fighting, and it's taxing to fight just on a personal level, but integrity of the process matters. And here are just a few examples, just so people at home understand.
Right.
Number one, there are 34 more votes in the ballot box than there were recorded voters that were struck off the list as having voted, and the margin of we lost by 19 votes, okay? So on that basis alone, there's a real challenge. But beyond that, the process was full of problems. From people in the ballot box being instructed how to vote, including on speakerphone, including on video calls in the ballot box, getting instructed how to vote while they were marking their ballot. You had instances of individuals using documentation that the party at the outset said they wouldn't accept, lease agreements that included somehow kids under the age of 18 to prove residency. You had one individual vote with an Amazon order as proof of residence. You run down the list, and it was inexplicable at times. And the last key piece to note, I mean, among many pieces of information that came that were frustrating and concerning, but there were countless people, an overwhelming number of people that were there as temporary residents, for sure, and when they were asked where they lived, they couldn't remember their address. They faltered, and then they said, "Oh, here's my identification." Right. And there were dozens and dozens and dozens of people who were taking pictures of their ballot. And the advice that I got from Andreas Katsouris, with this 25 years of experience around the world, he said, "Look, in other jurisdictions, when we see this, it's evidence of vote buying."
Okay, so I want to touch on that because there's a lot there. 34 more ballots than there were names with a margin of 19. I take your point on that, and as I understand it, one of the ballot sheets was completely missing where they cross off names, so some people could have potentially voted more than once based on that lack of control is what that could mean. But the identification, I mean, the Federal Liberal Party has done away with people who aren't citizens or permanent residents voting in contests, but students and temporary residents can still vote in the provincial Liberal votes. So foreign identification could work. I take your point on the Amazon. I can mail an Amazon package anywhere. It doesn't mean I live there. I can see where that would be a problem. But on this vote buying characterization, people are taking a picture of their ballot as what? Proof that this is how they voted, is how it would be turned in to prove that you did what you were contracted to do? Is that what you're kind of alleging or implying here with that?
Well, look, this is, just to be crystal clear, like, I didn't think twice about this. When it was told to me, you know, people take ballot pictures as jokes sometimes, I guess, sure. But when you see it at scale, I guess the question, and Andreas has more experience around the world in a range of elections. You know, I run down the list, like over a dozen countries he's participated in election observer missions or trained individuals. And he said, it's not just me. Like, you talk to election experts around the world, this is what the concern would be, and this is pretty common knowledge. Because, put it another way, David, ask yourself, why would dozens and dozens and dozens of people who are temporary residents showing up, not understanding the process, When they're asked for their address, they're not certain about what their address is, and then they're taking pictures of their ballot. Ask yourself, why would they be doing that?
Well, it's also alleged in your appeal that a high.
All right. So we'll get back to the rest of that. Whoops. I made myself disappear. Is your jaw on the floor? Right? Not all these various types of irregularities. And we all know we're not supposed to be taking pictures of our ballots. We all know that. Yeah. Again, whenever we have these, we see that, right? Like when Merritt Stiles turned around and said, Doug Ford and something about him going to jail or being in prison. And we go, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. Oh, this again, it's like, oh, vote buying. Are you, alleging? It's like, no, he's not alleging vote buying. He's saying that the person that heads up his scrutineer team, I'm supposing heads up, with all this experience that he has around the world, different types of elections, different types of cultures, different types of climates, that so many people taking pictures of their own ballots usually goes hand in hand with a vote buying scheme. Somebody's going to have to investigate that to see if that was indeed the case. But there is enough evidence on the surface for people who know what they are talking about when it comes to this, for it to be taken seriously as an allegation. 34 extra ballots in the box than names that were scratched off on the list, and a margin of victory of 19. Again, that alone. It's inexplicable. I worked once at a polling station. It's like saying one person, two votes. You just never hear it. There's nothing that could remotely suggest that an Amazon delivery is proof of your residence. Just no. Like, really, no. So, there are things, indeed, here to look at. If indeed these things did happen, of course, we have allegations at the moment, but it would be silly for people to make allegations this wild just for the sake of it. Not saying it's impossible. We just saw it with Trump in the United States. But would allegations this wild that happen to not be true be behavior that we would typically associate with Mr. Erskine Smith? The expressing outward displeasure at a result that didn't go his way, that's something that we have seen a few times, yes. But making this type of allegation that there was behavior that could be described as consistent with a vote buying scheme. Let's just put it this way. If he's making it up, he's torching the rest of his career, politically or otherwise. He would have to be some major desperate. And by making the statement that, well, whether or not you want me to run in Scarborough Southwest again or not, this should be done. And as you'll see in the rest of the interview, well, he says other things that make it even more convincing that this probably isn't necessarily about self. It basically neuters the self-interest argument altogether. So let's see the rest.
It's also alleged in your appeal that a high number of people said that they lost their driver's license or recently moved into the area. So it seems like
This came from Jennifer Bell. Jennifer Bell has been an election observer in Ukraine, and she came out of the room, and I learned that I lost, but I didn't have any of this information initially. And she said, you should appeal. And look, I saw firsthand a highly unusual number of people saying they lost their driver's licenses, saying they just moved to the area. And you add it all up, and it creates real suspicion. And look, my ask in all of this is nothing personal. I'm not asking to be instated as the candidate. I've even, in a crystal clear way, said to the party, I want you to get at the bottom of this. And if people don't want me to be the candidate, I will remove myself from this completely, so long as you get to the bottom of this and you conduct a full investigation, because that's what we deserve as Ontario Liberals and as anyone in this democracy. We should reform the rules. We should be serious about that reform, and we should make sure we conduct a full investigation to get to the bottom of irregularities.
But when you say it raises suspicions, I mean, there's often just incompetence and human error that leads to irregularities and problems. You and I have both seen that in politics over the years. And then there's flat out corruption and manipulation of a process. I mean, what sort of suspicion do you have is happening here?
Here's a question. Right, so what explains someone on a video call in the ballot box getting instructions of how to vote?
I do not have an explanation.
Or is that,
no, look,
is that incompetence, or is that something more serious than that?
Well, I would say, look, I don't know, but I would say it's definitely incompetence on the people running it to allow a video conference in the ballot box. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I tried to do that, I've never voted in a party nomination, but I can't imagine the Elections Canada people would let me get away with that on federal voting.
Well, so I'm glad you say this, David, because in the appeal materials, I did want to note, I wanted to be constructive, and I wanted to say, look, we need a full investigation. I want to make sure it's not about me at all, and it's about the process and improving and protecting the integrity of the process. And two areas where I think we absolutely need to protect the integrity of our process. One comes out of the Hogue Commission, where they recommended, and the federal government did adopt this change, to say that voting participation should be limited to citizens and to permanent residents. The Ontario Liberal Party has not changed the rules in, I think, an appropriate way, and that needs to change, especially after we just saw hundreds of temporary residents show up at the polls on Saturday. And the second piece here, and you've identified this, is the party clearly was incapable of running an election where 1,500 people voted in a very short window of time on a Saturday afternoon. And Elections Ontario should be responsible for this, because what we saw on Saturday was that a core tenet of our democracy, which is ballot secrecy, was completely undermined. And Elections Ontario should be at the forefront of protecting that.
You know, you look at this appeal and you look at the irregularities that you're highlighting here, and you look at your past comments that the party establishment was working to prevent you from getting the nomination. I mean, what makes you say that? Why evidence do you have that the party establishment wanted to stop you from winning in Scarborough Southwest?
I mean, they've said so themselves. I think you have, look, I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, because like I want to be squarely focused on the process here and how we improve the process and how we make sure something like this never happens again. But look, I mean, Tom Allison, who's a longtime old guard establishment for the Ontario Liberal Party, he was chief scrutineer for Mr. Hafiz, and when asked about why he was there, he said, I'm here to save the party, ostensibly to save the party from me, I suppose. You had Ted Loyko, who was campaign manager for Mr. Hafiz. Ted Loyko, who previously was running a nomination campaign for Han Dong, and has long-standing ties to Mr. Allison and to the party. You had Alexis Levine there. You had Jack Siegel there. You run down the list. There were all sorts of people who were there supporting opponents and making sure that we were unsuccessful. That's okay, by the way. Like, I don't take issue with a number of folks in the party who don't want to see me succeed. That's okay. That's democracy. It's not democracy to see the number of irregularities, to see the party turn a blind eye, I think, unfortunately, to so many of these irregularities. I said to my wife, like, should we do this, or should I do this? And she said, I don't want you to, from the perspective of, I want you at home more. I don't want you stressed about these things. It's not good. You know, like, what's the outcome here? But on the flip side, we can't let this happen in Canada.
So on your immediate next steps, I mean, the appeal is filed. Either the result potentially stands, and either way, your battle for Scarborough Southwest is over, or you said you will withdraw in return for an investigation. So you've kind of moved on from this particular nomination in this particular provincial riding. What does it mean for your leadership ambitions? Because this was supposed to be where you would go, eventually resign as a federal MP, Mr. Erskine-Smith, and then run for the leadership. I mean, where does that stand now? Do you stay as an MP, or do you still intend to pursue the top job in the party?
I am going to step away from my role as an MP no matter what. I've said this for a long time. I know folks on Twitter don't necessarily believe a politician, but I said from the outset that I would stay on at the request of the Prime Minister's office, because we're in a tough parliamentary math situation. That math's gotten a little easier. My last conversation with the Prime Minister's office, we sort of agreed, we're going to stick it out till the end of the parliamentary session, but I'm going to, hopefully give a farewell speech sometime in June, and I've already thanked constituents, and I'm going to resign and hopefully have an orderly, fair nomination process in Beaches East York and pass the baton to a new generation, a next candidate. And in terms of a leadership race, I honestly don't know. I mean, I've been so consumed by listening to stories on the ground from voters and from scrutineers. I have been so seized with making sure we got the materials in time, within 72 hours after the start of the nomination meeting, and obviously it's a setback. I'm not going to lie about it. It's a setback to not win a nomination when I really believed if we won the nomination, we flipped a tough by-election, there would be a great path to reforming and delivering change in the party and across Ontario. It's still true that we need change across Ontario and change in the Ontario Liberal Party, but I'm not sure if I'm the person to deliver that change. I'm going to listen to the team, and we'll see.
Is there a timeline, just as a quick final point, of when you might make that decision? Because I know there's not a lot of time, to make the call with the vote coming in the fall. But obviously, you'd like to finalize what your next chapter is going to be in your life. So when do you think we'll get a clear answer? Not a final answer.
Well, I'm going to finalize a decision for federal politics soon, regardless of any other decision. So just to be clear about that, this isn't some idea of hanging on to a role for my own benefit. If anything, it's been exhausting trying to do two jobs at once. In terms of a timeline on next steps provincially, I'm not sure just yet. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to talk to the team, and maybe there's some world of people out there in Ontario who want change desperately the way I do, but are also willing to join the Ontario Liberal Party. If that's the case, maybe there's a path. But if not, there are lots of good people who want to put their name on a leadership ballot, and I'm going to be helping to reform this party one way or another.
Nathaniel Erskine-Smith, we always appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. I know it must be a busy day and a tough day, but thank you for being here on Power and Politics, sir. Much obliged. I want to get to, an appeal in Ontario.
So there you go, kids and cubs. Not only would he remove himself from consideration, at the moment, he's not even particularly certain that he's going to enter the race now for the leadership of the party. We got to stop doing the things that push good people out. So again, no investigation has yet taken place. We'll see what the party does with the request. If the party really wants this to be done, if it really wants to be done, they'll just hastily put out something today or tomorrow saying that we've checked and there's nothing wrong. If they want to have a sort of fig leaf of deniability that they actually did a proper investigation, they'll wait a week or two and then say there's nothing wrong, or it will make changes. And here's the thing: I'm not understanding from the Ontario Liberal Party is the polls are indicating right now that Doug Ford is no longer in majority territory, that you literally have a chance, and you're supposed to be presenting yourself as a government in waiting, competent. Again, just look at the Mark Carney example. Competent, organized, with a plan. No games. What are you doing? Are you trying to throw the next election already? What the hell are you guys doing? You didn't even incorporate the recommendations from the inquiry. Why? What are you doing? No makey sensey. My word. If you want people to believe and buy that you are a government in waiting, for the love of everything that you hold dear, arrange yourself to run your affairs in a manner such that it shows to us that you can be trusted with being government. Mr. Erskine Smith is right. Writing nominations, party leadership races, petition drives for referendum, all of these damn things, they should be run and coordinated by electoral bodies. The political parties keep on proving again and again and again and again that they just cannot be trusted with the exercise of democracy. We've got Danielle trying to gerrymander now. I mean, think about it. In Alberta, after having passed laws that would make it such that Elections Alberta could not even open an investigation on any of the things that they've investigated over the last 5 years, like this, but even if they were something managed to get over that hurdle where they could open it, the law was changed in such a way that there was no way that they would have been able to complete an investigation in time for anything to happen. So Danielle Smith and friends thought they had covered the entire bases. They put one way to ensure that nothing was ever investigated, and then they put a second layer in case something passed through. And still yet they never counted on someone so obnoxiously defiant and stupid that they would record themselves actually doxing someone using a database that had information that they should not have and posting it on the internet again for literally the world to see. Even she couldn't imagine that they would be that dumb as to just clear both of those hurdles like they were pretty de Felicienne. And create a situation that would still create a cause for Elections Alberta to be able to investigate. That law was supposed to make it such that Elections Alberta couldn't investigate anything ever again, so long as Danielle Smith was premier. Wonder why she would want that. But they screwed up that badly. Meanwhile, back in Quebec, a little development, that file. It seems that Sona Lacoyan-Olivier, who had been ousted from the party due to things alleged that she had done in the leadership race that led to Pablo Rodriguez, who is now no longer the leader of the party, to become the leader of the party. Well, it seems that she will not be returning to the Quebec Liberal Party after an ethics commission found that she misused public funds during Pablo Rodriguez's leadership campaign and tried to obstruct the ensuing investigation into her conduct. In a report published Thursday, Commissioner Ariane Mignolet recommended that the National Assembly fine Olivier $8,000 for contravening 2 sections of the legislature's Code of Ethics. Her failings are undeniably serious, wrote Mignolet in her report. Again, $8,000. These are not deterrents. To help prevent them from being repeated, to avoid normalizing the member's conduct, and ultimately to strengthen public confidence, the sanction must have a real deterrent effect and sufficiently condemn her conduct. According to the report, Olivier used her constituency office to campaign for Rodriguez between April and June 2025. Staff interviewed during the investigation shared having to carry out partisan activities on their personal time and while being remunerated by the National Assembly, quote, to satisfy the high expectations and demands made by Olivier. The investigation also found that Olivier tried to influence the testimony of some of her staff to the members of the commission. According to the report, she also took steps to prevent the commission from discovering certain messages between her and her staff. Olivier was initially excluded from the PLQ's caucus in December 2025 for the duration of the investigation. In a statement on Thursday, party leader Charles Milliard, who is the new party leader, said that given the report's finding, which he called, quote, serious and worrisome, Olivier will continue to be excluded from the Liberal caucus and will not be able to run under the party banner in the provincial election this fall. Quote, the acts that were committed are incompatible with our values and standards, Milliard said in the statement. It's zero tolerance. On Thursday, Olivier tabled a motion to change the way the ethics commissioner works. Oh, wow. It was rejected by the National Assembly and there was no debate on the motion. Denied. Boom. The changes she wanted to make included the commissioner given confidential advance notice before they publicly launch an investigation. Girl. Come on. The motion also... Hi, yeah, this is the Ottawa Police. Can I speak to Mr. Johnson? Yeah, Mr. Johnson, just want to let you know that we're going to be investigating you now. We're going to start in 2 days. So if there's anything that you would like to hide or anything you would like to destroy or people you would like to give some final instructions to or establish some code to talk to afterwards, after 2 days, this would be your time to do it. So here you have the difference between a Nathaniel Erskine Smith says, I like to be helpful. Really, Elections Ontario should be running this stuff. Versus, hey, I have some helpful recommendation. Next time you investigate me, how about you let me know before you make it public? Oh my God, these people. The narcissism required. The motion also asked for mandatory ethics training for MNAs, that's Ministers of National Assembly in Quebec, which is one of Mignolet's recommendations in her report, and that the rules around the use of office space and other resources for partisan activities be clarified. Speaking outside the National Assembly, Alex Boissonneau, the Parti Québécois ethics critic, said that mandatory training could be a good idea, but called Olivier's mistakes basic. That's true. Quote, everybody knows as an MNA that you cannot use your staff or your office to do partisan work, Boissonneau said. How is it possible that someone elected in the Liberal caucus can think that something like this could be normal? Which is the exact same question I have about being at a meeting and seeing Jason Kenney's information being put up on the screen. It's like, it's not normal. There is no context in which it is normal. Boissonneau added that he wants Milliard to give assurances that, quote, something like this will never happen again. Olivier has defended herself throughout the investigation. Notably, according to the report, she didn't feel she had violated the code of ethics in the ways the commission accuses her of doing and deemed any use of state property and services for partisan purposes to be minimal. It's supposed to be none. Not minimal, none. Regarding her conversations with staff members about the investigation, she called those, quote, clumsy, adding that she wasn't trying to influence anyone. Quote, she understands in hindsight that it's not just her intentions that matters, but also how her actions might be perceived, the report reads. She explains that she herself was very stressed and that she simply wanted to reassure her staff members out of compassion. At the time of Olivier's expulsion from the Parti libéral du Québec last year, the party was struggling to manage a pair of controversies, one being an alleged vote-buying scheme on behalf of Rodriguez's 2025 leadership campaign. Olivier had been named by 98.5 FM as the author of text messages published in the Journal de Montréal, suggesting that party members were rewarded with money to vote for Rodriguez. The allegations led him to step down as the leader at the end of December, though a report commissioned by the party later found no evidence of wrongdoing. It also found nothing to implicate Olivier. So there you have it, kids and cubs. 3 provinces, 3 votes. And 2 votes actually, and 1 petition drive. And everything not taking place according to standard, to basic minimum rules. And these are the rules that the parties make for themselves. There are certain laws, maybe, in terms of how corporations or private organizations act that they need to comply with. But these are the rules that they make for themselves, and they can't even comply with those. I'm all for it. Elections Canada should be organizing all party leadership races from now on. Actually, the other party nomination where there wasn't any drama as well was the recent Liberal one. We did have some drama with, like, Ruby Dalla and that other guy, Chandra Arya, being disqualified because I don't know. There was just a sense that they weren't there to advance the best interests of the Liberal Party or to uphold the values of the party. It was just a vibe. They were giving off something. Yeesh. But that was the extent of the controversies, pretty much. So that one was relatively clean as well. But yeah, this is just take it out of the hands of the parties, man. And I don't even understand why there isn't, like, for example, Centurion Project Limited. It's registered. I don't know why there isn't, like, some type of order. You cannot pursue any activities at all based on this status. If the list was in your possession and it was used in the way that it was used, and then a court order was sought for you to cease and desist, and you are not ceasing and desisting, you are showing that you are just too irresponsible, reckless, filled with depraved indifference to be responsible enough to be a fully participating member of society. This is not hard. This is not hard. Somebody needs to do something about these three cases. Now, with some happier news, also involving elections, hopefully no irregularities. On the 11th was a municipal election day in New Brunswick, and according to the Canadian press, there's been some changes. Some New Brunswickers are waking up yesterday morning to new mayors, while others re-elected familiar faces in Monday's municipal elections. Unofficial results from Elections New Brunswick show Steve Hicks winning the mayoral race in Fredericton, Freddie beating out former MP Jenica Atwin, in the race to replace Kate Rogers. Former MP Jenica Atwin, who had been elected with the Green Party, left after the whole debacle with Annamie Paul, and then joined the Liberals for a while. And then I guess went back to Freddie by the Lake, as my friend Natasha calls it, but did not win to be mayor. Hicks, a longtime city councillor in the capital, says he is, quote, committed to addressing issues that Fredericton voters brought forward during his campaign, from affordability and public safety to a better quality of life. In the eastern city of Moncton, three-term city councillor Sean Crossman won the mayoral race on a campaign that touched on public safety, housing, infrastructure, and economic opportunity. In the port city of St. John, Donna Reardon won a second term as mayor after beating her closest challenger, incumbent councillor Barry Ogden, by a comfortable margin. More than 216,000 voters cast ballots in the municipal elections, leading to a nearly 40% turnout. I think these days that's high for municipal elections, which is very sad to say. But yeah, I'm thinking that municipal elections often come in sometimes in the 30s, sometimes even 20s. So yeah, glad that it's higher than I would have expected. But come on, man, you got to vote municipally. It's a big deal. According to CBC, voters in New Brunswick elected representatives for almost all of the province's 77 municipalities, 12 rural districts, and district education councils. Several municipalities elected new mayors, including Tantramar, Shediac, Dieppe, Miramichi, Woodstock, and New Maryland. There you go. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, there was some live coverage, so I might be going backwards in time here, but let's see what we have with us here. So of the total 77 mayors, New Brunswickers will see 42 incumbent mayors return along with 35 new mayors. So that was a decent amount of change, I can say here. In St. John's, of course, as we mentioned, the mayor, Donna Reardon, has her second term, but many fresh faces on the council. 7 new members were elected onto the incoming council. Incumbent councillors Gary Sullivan at large, Greg Norton, Ward 1, John McKenzie, Ward 2, were all re-elected into their roles. And the new elected council members include Gina Hooley as an at-large councillor, Sherry Caldwell McCarver in Ward 1, Brian Watt in Ward 2, Eric Savoy and Ryan Moore in Ward 3, Paul Dempsey and David Merrithew in Ward 4, and Merrithew had served on the council for 9 years, returns after not having offered to run in 2021. Outgoing council members Paula Radwan and Mariah Darling were not re-elected into their seats. The mayor says there will be an orientation to get new council members up to speed, and the incoming council will be sworn in on May 25th, with the first meeting of the incoming council being held on June 1st. And there were outgoing councillors who did not re-offer for their seats: Brent Harris, Joanna Killen, Greg Stewart, and Jerry Lowe. In Fredericton, of course, as we mentioned, Mayor-elect Steve Hicks, a longtime councillor, is joined by 8 new councillors. P. Blair Sullivan ousted councillor Eric McGarity for the only Fredericton upseat of the night. Angela Hicks, who is married to the mayor, will now represent the Marysville ward he held for years. Other faces on council will be Kate Hunter, Ryan Gregg, Colin Ebbett, Josh Hambrook, Kelly Murray, and Janet E. Moser. Only 4 incumbents will remain on council. Greg Erickson was the only councillor acclaimed in this race, and his fellow incumbent councillors who won re-election were Jocelyn Pike, Ruth Breen, and Jason Lejeune. For Moncton, there were 11 seats at the council table. There were no incumbents in Ward 1 since Sean Crossman ran for mayor and Paulette Thériault didn't re-offer. Thériault had served as the city's acting mayor for the past year following Don Arnold's appointment to the Senate. In addition, Mike Godet, Félix Leblanc were also elected to Ward 1. There's also no incumbents in Ward 2. Councillor Danielle Bourgeois was defeated, and Councillor Charles Léger ran unsuccessfully for mayor, I should say. Marc Léger and Kristen Kavoukian are the councillors elected in Ward 2. In Ward 3, incumbent Brian Butler is returning, along with newcomer to council Juliana Much. Incumbent Dave Steeves was defeated. In Ward 4, Paul Richard was re-elected. Kate Doyle was also elected. Councillor Susan Edgett opted not to re-offer in that ward. For councillors at large, Marty Kingston was re-elected and Greg Turner was also re-elected. And it's a return to the council for Turner, who previously held an at-large seat before running for municipal office and serving as a cabinet minister under Progressive Conservative Premier Blaine Higgs. So those are the final results for the 3 biggest cities. And let's see if I have a little bit of some rural information here. It says that tonight's elections mark a return to normalcy to 3 rural municipalities that have been without an elected mayor or council for months after the local governance commission appointed supervisors in their place. The step was taken because the councils had too many people resign and could no longer function. Straight Shores, located near the Confederation Bridge, saw former acting mayor Anne-Marie Lynn Boyd win by a narrow margin. The municipality has been without any council for just over a year. The other 2 communities will have new mayors. Sunbury York South, which includes Rusagonis and Wasis, saw Councillor Corey Allen handily win over former acting mayor Larry DeLong by about 600 votes. And Debbie Norton won a close race against former acting mayor Amanda Brennan in Miramichi River Valley, which includes Blackville and Renou. It is also worth noting that Lakeland Ridges, the amalgamated area in the province's rural west that includes Canterbury and Meductic, will also have a new mayor. That municipality was briefly overseen by a supervisor over infighting and resignation. Leonard G. Foster, who was elected mayor in a by-election after that supervision ended, lost to Mayor-elect Gregory Grant. There are also new mayors in Dieppe and Miramichi. Hélène Boudreau, a nurse of 40 years, won a tight race to be the first woman elected mayor in Dieppe. She won after former mayor Yvon Lapierre, who served as mayor from 1998 to 2005 and since 2012, chose not to run again. In Canada's Irish capital, in Miramichi, voters chose Véronique Arsenault by about 2,500 votes, a councillor who put a focus on economic growth in her campaign. She beat 4 other candidates after Mayor Adam Lorden chose not to re-offer. So there you have it. And let's see here. In Woodstock, former Mayor Jeff Wright unseated current Mayor Trina Jones by about 500 votes. In New Maryland, Councillor Alex Schulten beat longtime Mayor Judy E. Wilson, who had served 3 terms, by a mile. Schulten has 1,058 votes to Shee's 349. Tracadie's Clifford Robichaud unseated Mayor Denis Lozier by over 1,000 votes, but some incumbents won, including Mark Thorne in Sussex, David Morrison in Hanwell, Bernard Thériault in Caraquet, and Andrew Harvey in Carlton North, which includes Florenceville, Bristol. So there you have it, some results from municipal elections in New Brunswick. Let's see. Before we go, of course, some very happy news in that this year's Walter Cup final, Kits and Cubs, is going to be an all-Canadian affair with the Montréal Victoire defeating the 2-time champions Minnesota Frost last night to set up a final matchup with Montréal and Ottawa. Ottawa was in the final last year. So if we think that everybody's taking a step up, maybe it's Ottawa's turn to win the cup. Maybe. Winning goal by, of course, Captain Clutch, Marie-Philippe Poulain. A really beautiful one right into the top corner of the net, almost from the side. So spectacular goal. But again, I mean, she's magic. So we have, yes, an all Canadian final. Montreal Canadiens unfortunately lost last night, so that series is tied at 2. And I think it goes back to Boston there. So go Habs, go! Go Habs, go! All right, Kids and Cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. And Kids and Cubs, if you share a little bit of yourself by saying why our content resonates with you, that helps us a lot. Just that little personal touch. If you would like to help us, Kids and Cubs, you can do so in a few ways. One is by scanning this QR code, which will bring you to our YouTube page where we ask you to click on our buttons, smash with the like, share, and subscribe because it helps us with the algorithm. Yeah. We need that help. And of course, if you have the opportunity, if you're watching this video not live and you're watching it on your phone, where the comments, where you can usually type a comment, if you just give it a swipe, you will have the opportunity to offer us hype points, which helps smaller audience shows like us get noticed. So we thank you for all of that, and for all of you who have been doing it. Thank you so much. Other ways that you can help Kids and Cubs by contributing financially to help us with the show. And you can do so right here by scanning this QR code, which will bring you to our coffee page. I will be honest, Kids and Cubs, I have tried my best to try to take on the duties of doing some audio editing so that we could get the podcast only versions out of the show, because none have come out since September. And we would like to be able to reconnect with our audience, our audio only, ears only audience. So I am looking at the prospect of trying to hire someone to do that. I've actually put a call out, not being able to offer a lot, but if any of you do think that it would be a valid venture to get us back on audio, we would appreciate some donations that could be specifically going to that end, ensuring that we can have someone get us back up to date to where we are and get the new episodes out. And therefore, our message can get out to more people, and that might help us on our way to self-sufficiency. If we can get into the pool, regain our pool of donors who used to donate because they listened only on audio, and for them we just appear to have disappeared. So we will have to rebuild that audience. So any help you could offer with that would be extremely appreciated. Also, Kids and Cubs, if you are, I know it's hitting you up for a lot of money all at once, but if you are interested, I am still on that weight loss adventure, trying to lose as much weight as I can by June 20th, and hopefully make a couple of donations to our beneficiary organizations for the mental health walk. If you can give a pledge of $1 or $2 for how many pounds I lose, I am now at 10. No, sorry, 12. I hit 12. Well, actually 10 now because it seems I gained 2 pounds while I was sleeping. But yesterday morning, I hit 170 on the nose, so down from 182 on April 12th. So you're on the hook for a little bit if you do pledge. But yes, we would like to be able to make a little contribution to our organizations this year if you are able to help with that. All right. What else do we have for you? Let's see. I guess it's because democracy is something that you do. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, yes. If you want to write to us, of course, True North Eager Beaver at gmail.com, Kits and Cabs, is where you can write to us to let us know what you think about the show, offer some guest suggestions, and of course, if you have any questions about the show or any questions about politics that you would like us to answer, please send them there. True North Eager Beaver at gmail.com is also where you can send a direct bank-to-bank donation if you want to avoid the US CE Tech Bros and do the Buy Canadian thing. But we do love to hear from you. If we cannot, if you're not able to make a financial contribution, please let us know what you think, what you like about the show, what you think that we could do better, because we love both compliments and constructive criticism. Also, Kits and Cubs, if you're looking for us on our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, also on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook, our original home. We have the DamFam Discord. We have the DamFam Instagram run by Kit Uncover. We have our Beaver Bites Substack. Lots going on, lots of places for you to keep the conversation going. And thank you for all the places where you visit us. And of course, if you're watching live right now or later, just the comment section right here. Leave us a little something. We read everything that you write to us, even though we're not able to answer everyone. Because democracy is something that you do, Kits and Cubs, we have our two petitions. House of Commons E7395, calling upon the House of Commons to stop funding Stornoway as a private residence for the leader of the official opposition. We were at 10,529 signatures on that when we saw each other at the end of the show on Monday. We're at 10,414 now. Some modest growth. Maybe we can help that out a little bit. Here is the petition link, and the other one of Kits and Cubs is Commons.ca petition E7340, which calls upon the House of Commons in Parliament assembled to evoke its authority under Section 53 of the Supreme Court Act to refer the constitutionality of Alberta's Justice Statutes Amendment Act of 2025 to the Supreme Court of Canada, and to direct the Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner to immediately investigate the meetings between the Alberta Prosperity Project and the Trump administration. Considering everything that we've said today on the show and how we are witnessing behavior that is abnormal for people who should have as their first concern defending our democracy and the integrity of a vote, particularly the integrity of an electors list. So if that is of a concern to you, you might want somebody to investigate meetings between the Alberta Prosperity Project and the Trump administration, especially since Mr. Jeffrey Rath, according to Kit Uncover, who sent me some video, appears to be bragging that he has Trump's endorsement or support for separation that Donald Trump would recognize. Gee, yeah, the nation that would benefit from Alberta separation by then immediately coming in and then claiming it as their own would recognize an independent Alberta. Gee, what a surprise, and what a very helpful thing to say, especially as we are supposed to be entering trade negotiations. What a very interesting thing to say. Makes us very, very inclined to want to be accommodating. Oh well. So please do democracy. If you are in British Columbia, you should have your ballots if you are registered to vote in the BC Conservative leadership race. That is ongoing until I believe the 30th, when that's when the results will be revealed. So please make sure you get your ballots in on time if you are sending them in by mail. Of course, I have a feeling that there will be an opportunity to vote in person at the conference itself if you happen to be there. Double check on that, but I assume, because that's usually the case, but I do not know it for sure. So all of that going on, kids and cubs. And if you're in New Brunswick and you did vote in the municipal elections, take a day off and relax. If you are in Alberta and if you are in Ontario, if you're in Ontario and you are a Liberal voter, this might be the time that you might want to call a Liberal member of Parliament or the Liberal Party of Ontario and ask, what the hell? Okay. And if you are in Alberta, you really need to make some noise. You really need to make some noise, because we know that Danielle Smith does bend every now and then when public pressure gets a little hot, and that public pressure needs to get really, really, really hot. And one of the ways public pressure can get a little hot is if you participate in this big protest that appears to be planned for the 29th of May in the province of Alberta. I believe it's the Alberta Federation of Labor is somewhat organized with that. Gil McGowan, of course. I'm going to take a look at that and see if there's any more information here for you on that. But I know it is May 29th in Alberta, and it's a big, massive protest here. It's the Alberta Federation of Labor. It's organizing a province-wide day of protest to oppose the United Conservative Party's government policies, focusing on affordability, healthcare, and workers' rights. Coordinated rallies and demonstrations are planned across Alberta, including Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer, Lethbridge, Fort McMurray, St. Albert, Grand Prairie, and Medicine Hat. It says here, it's to protest against high living costs, stagnant wages, potential withdrawal from the Canada Pension Plan, and to demand a $20 per hour minimum wage. A coalition of workers, parents, students, seniors, and Indigenous land defenders will be participating. The Alberta Federation of Labor is leading the campaign known as Fight Back Now. And rather than a single central event, local actions are being organized across the province to ensure widespread participation. And the protests follow what organizers call the government's anti-worker and anti-democratic actions, such as using the notwithstanding clause. I think it was to remove the bargaining rights of, I think it is about 40,000 teachers. Another instance of Danielle in the law, so that they can continue to force their agenda down the throats of people and run roughshod over them. Just saying that there's a pattern of behavior here. All right, kids and cubs. Words of wisdom. Again, if you're in Alberta, if not now, when? This is the time to stand up. Nip it in the bud early. Nip it in the bud early, because the people that are pushing this definitely do not have your best interest at heart. And you have a premier who seems to be uncaring about your safety and well-being, so you're really going to need to push her, because she does not like to be told no. So you need to tell her no, and you need to tell her no loud enough and often enough that she can pretend to misunderstand what you said, or interpret your no as try harder or try later. It's just no. Okay. It could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. And now at the count of 3, may have a little audience participation in the form of everybody at one time, all together in a beautiful and patriotic voice. Pro-democracy voice. Standing up for election integrity voice. Say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, on 2, and on 3. Let me hear you. Ooh, yay. That is the good stuff right there. Oh, how can I resist? How can I resist? You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, are we together? There we go. A little bit of news about Canadians who make us proud, and I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to zig from what we usually do. But there's a story in the local paper here that I wanted to read because I thought it was it was just a different type of thing that we like to um, underline and highlight. It's from Megan Culture of the Kingston Whig Standard. Those who know Trevor Walsh know him as a Kingston musician who has been performing for close to 50 years. While music is his passion, there's something else that pulls at his heartstrings, and and that's helping people. In an effort to help In an effort to help those less fortunate, Walsh has opened a store along Princeton Street in downtown Kingston that sells items at a reasonable price and in most cases cheaper than your average grocery store. Quote, people can't afford to buy groceries anymore, so being downtown, being close to Queens, students don't have a whole lot of money. There's a lot of people who are on fixed incomes, and because of the way I am, I gotta help, said Walsh. At the end of the day, I have to make sure that people are fed, Music is my life, but I feel that I have to give back. Walsh got the idea for the store after seeing a similar concept in Trenton. His store, which is called Trevor's One Stop Shop, sells a variety of foods such as pasta, cereal, canned goods, chips, along with drinks. He even carries unique items that cannot be found in Canada. I'm going to bring in products that are just weird, like peach mango ginger ale in a glass bottle. I just bought chips from Cairo. They're from Egypt, and because of the war, they can't get their product, so I bought it all, said Walsh. So how does he do it? He purchases goods from tractor trailers that have flipped over or products that are discontinued and sitting in warehouses. Instead of the products going to the dump, he buys them and sells them at a much cheaper rate. He's even started bringing in clothing items like sweaters and pants. I'm dealing with Lululemon right now. I think I just bought 12 pallets of pants because they were putting knives through them to use them as for rag bags, explained Walsh, who was told they were throwing them out because they changed the location of their logo. No one can afford a $160 pair of pants when I can sell them for $29 because they moved the emblem from here to here, said Walsh as he pointed at his ankle. Prior to opening up the store, Walsh worked full-time at CSN Collision, but one day it just clicked. He needed a change. Quote, I've never been so clear, he said to his boss. I'm 58 years old. I'm not going to stand cars for the rest of my life. This is a young man's game. I'm done. He secured a storefront at 338 Princess Street and officially opened a week later on May 4th. According to his first few customers, the store is exactly what the downtown needed. Quote, so far it's amazing. I just love the idea and the concept of it, said Kim Wills. Especially with the unhoused population that we have, I think it is a great way for them to be able to afford some items in the downtown area, which is amazing. As for items that are close to expiry, Walsh plans to donate them to Marcella's Table, or a similar charity that provides meals to those in need. I don't want to throw anything out. It just drives me nuts how much waste there is now, says Walsh. According to Kristen Lowett, an associate professor at the School of Environmental Studies at Queen's University, food prices really haven't come down to levels seen prior to the pandemic due to a many complex set of reasons. Quote, higher import prices, extreme weather events, and climate change as well, Lowett cited. We do import a lot of our fresh produce, about 50% of our vegetables, I think, 75% of fruits, and some of the countries we import from are also experiencing their own sort of adverse weather events. Lowett also mentioned the wars in Ukraine and Iran as reasons behind higher food prices, two countries from which Canada is used to importing products such as fertilizer. Another driver of high consumer prices is the consolidation in the resale sector of Canada's 5 large corporations. In January, Canada's Grocery Court of Conduct kicked in with the hopes of improving grocer-supplier relations. Quote, certainly record profits that are still taking place at that retail level in Canada. So there's a lot of consolidation at that level, which also means there's low levels of competition. And there's been various kinds of reports looking at that and saying, yeah, we need to also expand and let other players come into the grocery retail sector as well, said Lowett, who went on to describe the idea of a public grocery store, which is a grocery store that is operated by a government for the benefit of the general public. She went on to describe how the cost of food is also tied to food insecurity, an issue that directly comes down to a person's income. A person may work a full-time job, but still not have enough money to afford food. Quote, I think that comes down really to income policies and to social policies, Lowett said. If people are supposed to have a right to food in Canada, I think we need to make sure that we realize that through progressive public policies that ensure that right, and that really comes down to is income security. She added that provincial social assistance rates and unemployment also remain low, adding to the problem of food insecurity. Quote, the federal government introduced the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, which is essentially kind of replacing the GST, HST credit. So I think that's a start, but I would say it isn't enough, said Lowett, who's completed research around a basic income in the food system and how it could alleviate household food insecurity. Quote, you'd file your taxes and then you would get this basic income that's supposed to be tied to the cost of living where you live. You're not going to get rich on a basic income, but it should be enough to cover your basic needs, explained Lovett. While the pressures of income food and food insecurity remain a struggle for those in community, Walsh hopes his efforts will make a difference. While he will continue to entertain people through his music, he hopes his store will give people a financial break when shopping for their basic need, food. Quote, my heart is bigger today because I know that there's so many people that need this, said Walsh. And there you go. See? Everybody has something that makes it such and put their talents to use. And here, Kits and Cubs, since we talked about them, why not give them a little FaceTime as well? This here, Kits and Cubs is, oh, I just closed the article on myself. Silly me. There we go. And here is Mr. Walsh himself. Gentleman who has decided that there was something that he could do in order to ensure that people had more affordable food and clothing, and took the initiative. A Canadian who makes us proud. All right, Kids and Cubs, that's all I got for you today. Amour et bisous. We will see you again tomorrow. I will try again for 11 a.m. This seems to be a time that works with everybody's schedules around here. Hopefully there wasn't too much noise in the background because there was some sanding and stuff going on in the shop back once or twice, but I think it was when a video happened to be running, so maybe the sound didn't pick up. But if that was the case, I apologize for the audio, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.